Welcome to the Wired Homestead. Today is poultry processing day, and I wanted to show you what my setup is. I've only done a big processing day once here on my homestead. I've helped other people, but only once here. So I'm still fine-tuning a couple of things. But I have the coal station over here. Chickens, turkeys, easily accessible right there. This is our pot for scalding to get the feathers off. This is going to be our pot for the shrink bags. I'm not using the same water for both because the water, once you scald the birds for the feathers, it gets kind of gross. I don't really want to dip my nice clean chicken in shrink bags into the dirty gross water and then put it in my freezer. So I have another pot of clean water just for that. Then we have our plucker right here. That's from the last several birds I processed. I processed 12 of my Cornish cross already, but I did it kind of piecemeal, just a couple a day while I had time. And they were plenty big enough that I didn't really want them to get any bigger and wait till this big day. It also allows us to go a little bit faster today since we don't have quite as many birds to do. And then I have 2 turkeys that need to go. So after the plucker, we have our processing station. Don't mind this. I cannot get this film off this table for the life of me. So maybe someday I'll get a scraper and kind of scrape it off, but for now it's fine. I still need to clean the table, so the table's still dirty. It won't remain dirty when we start processing birds. And then finally, we have our cooler here that's full of water. I have a friend that's joining me, and I believe she's gonna bring some ice to throw in it. I honestly don't think we need it. It's barely 40 degrees outside, so I think the birds are gonna stay plenty cold. My water is basically straight from a creek, so it's very cold to begin with. We're here by my shop, and the fridge that they're gonna go in is inside the shop. So I try when I do my setup to get it so it's like boom, boom, boom. Cull, scald, pluck, process, cool. The only thing that's not in a row is that we have to go back over here to do the shrink bags. And that's just because I don't have another camp stove and don't really see the point in having 2 when I have 2 burners on that one that work perfectly fine. I have my 100-foot hose right there that goes all the way down to my spout down here. It is hooked up to the only other 2 hoses I have. So this is actually a 100-foot hose. It doesn't need to be 100-foot, but it is. And this is hooked to a spray nozzle over here. And that's how we'll clean the chickens, clean the surface, and keep everything nice and tidy. And then I have, from the splitter, I have this black hose that goes back behind everything straight to my plucker right here. It worked pretty well for me last time. Hopefully it works well for me this time. One modification that I did make from last time is the buckets underneath the restraining cones here. These buckets right here, I lined with garbage bags. I didn't do that last time, and it made cleanup really much more difficult than it needed to be. So I made that modification this time. I think it's gonna work really well. I have 2 buckets, one on each side, so one for each of us to put all of the innards and the gizzards and everything in. I'm gonna feed those to the pigs so they don't go to waste. I hate wasting anything. Like, if these animals are going to give their life to us, I want to be able to use every bit of them that I can. So we process the birds, we bag up their carcass, we take the innards, feed them to the pigs. Now that I have pigs, feed them to the pigs. The head and the feet I keep because I use those for stock. And that is, other than the feathers, that is the entire bird. So the only thing really that's wasted is the feathers. And I just throw feathers in the compost, or in some cases, like this, just in the lawn. They'll break down and they'll become fertilizer. So they're not really wasted either. One thing I want to mention is the temperatures. I forgot to mention the temperatures of the water that we use. So for the scalding water right here, You can see it's only at about 110 degrees. I'm shooting for between 145 and 150. That has seemed to be the right temperature to get a really nice scald. So it doesn't cook the birds, but it loosens the feathers enough so that they come out pretty easily in the plucker. And you only want to dip the birds for about 30 seconds. So I keep them in there 30 seconds, pull them out, get them straight to the plucker. For this one, for the shrink bags, you're looking at more like 180 to 200 degrees. These will be refrigerated for 24 hours, except the turkeys. Since we're processing this on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, the turkey's just gonna stay in the fridge. There really isn't any point to freeze it and then try to thaw it again because it won't thaw on time. And it will sit perfectly fine for the next 4 days in the fridge. The chickens, I'm gonna refrigerate overnight because it allows them to go through rigor mortis. If you freeze them right away, sometimes they can come out really tough because they didn't get a chance to go through that process. So they're gonna sit in the fridge for about 24 hours and then tomorrow they'll go in the freezer. Been a few days since we processed our chicken and turkeys. I just wanted to show you now what our freezer looks like. All that delicious chicken in there from our processing. We've had a bit of it and it's so tasty. And the turkeys turned out beautifully. I was kind of surprised at how small they dressed out. I guess I didn't realize chickens were so poofy, but they're quite poofy. The turkey we ended up keeping dressed out at 12.5 pounds, which ended up being perfect for our family. My father-in-law smoked it and it was delicious. I thank you for watching and I hope to see you all next time.